Hi everyone, it's Patterson Creative with another video. This time we'll be looking at how I create my motion posters. Of course, as you might have seen on my main channel, I feature a lot of projects that I've done over the years, most of them being motion design pieces or more specifically animation. This time I will be creating another motion poster, this time based on my uh, popular Spider-Man poster. It's been one of my most requested and asked for over the years. And considering that I have a series of motion posters, basically off of my superhero series that I've been doing over the last few years, I have decided to continue that tradition by focusing on this particular character. Compared to other ones, this one was a little tricky for me. I had to kind of make sure all the moving parts worked at the same time. Compared to other posters that I've done in the past, this one was a little more dynamic in terms of how many moving parts I had to actually coordinate to make the poster come to life. Usually with these posters, I kind of take an original image that I've done and allow them to be animated. Of course, all this is very much capable because of the work that I usually do in Photoshop, and all it is mostly me using the animation portion of the app and allowing myself to kind of make these seemingly inanimate pieces of design and art come to life for the viewer. Of course, we kind of have the original posters as you can see, kind of working itself through. Uh, Basically, this whole project, especially this version, came together out of an original project I did back in graduate school. I was very much inspired by the Wes Anderson posters for one of his films, and wanted to kind of test it out for myself. But of course, put my own spin on it. You can always be inspired by something without completely ripping it off. So for me, I wanted to do superheroes, but more specifically black superheroes. Because at the time when I was creating this piece, uh, the Black Panther movie hadn't come out yet, and black superheroes still kind of more relegated to the side rather than being the main protagonist in a lot of stories. Of course, that has changed within the past few years. We see more superheroes being black superheroes being more prominent. However, at the time, that was not really the case. So instead of having an anomaly, I wanted to make it more of a reoccurrence. So I created my own posters to kind of counteract the narrative that was going on at the time that black superheroes or just media in general didn't sell. I found quite a bit of great feedback from the pieces that I have created, especially being a blurred myself, having others compliment my pieces and be very um, appreciative of the work that I did. Of course, now this time we're taking this said poster. This time we're highlighting uh, the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man, as we've all become more acquainted with the Into the Spider-Verse uh, franchise, and of course, this one falls right in line with that. Uh, so with this one, as you can see, I'm essentially animating the figure itself, along with the webs that kind of shoot from his hands. In doing so, it allows the viewer to kind of see him basically come from off a distance and come right blasting right towards them. Uh, and of course, in this case, I wanted to make sure all the pieces were coordinated because, again, it's a very delicate balance of going from being a still piece to a motion one, Especially when you're making that transition. You're all about trying to make all the movements as fluid as possible. Of course, compared to maybe other applications, Photoshop is a great tool for animation. It can be very fluid or sometimes more segmented depending on how you want it to look. I've had pieces kind of go both ways. This particular piece, in general, because there are so many moving pieces, um, that is probably one of the more complex ones that I've done so far. So for me, it's all about making sure there's a lot of fluidity when it comes to these movements. Because while the figure itself may not be, you may not see all extremities move, it's still a moving piece within this overall very encompassing piece, which will result in a kind of a motion effort on not only the my part but also the finished piece itself, allowing it to speak for itself in terms of kind of throwing a nod back to my animation days while still tapping into my field as a designer. Of course, you kind of see I'm animating the figure for the most part, but in animating the figure, I also have to make sure that the webs are coordinated with it, so it's not just me moving the piece. I'm doing everything one step at a time. Even the shadow that lies beneath it, I'm making sure that that is pretty much on even ground as well. We want to, of course, create the illusion that we have Spider-Man just glide rooftop of this building, and in order to create that, we have to create that sense of depth. For me, it's all about just as much having a sense of depth as it is making sure that the piece is fluid. Um, I kind of wanted to create a 3D, almost 3D meets 2D animated feel with this piece. Even in some of my past pieces, it's been a feature that I like to draw upon a lot. As some of the pieces that I've done in the past are a little simpler, but over time, I've tried to be more complex with it, use more, again, my motion design and animation skills in creating these pieces so they appear more dynamic, more true to the skill sets that I've developed over time. And of course, in this case, as you kind of see, I'm kind of fidgeting around with a lot of the figure itself, kind of again getting it to line up with all of the other moving pieces. And because it's so central to how this piece is made, any piece that is off can kind of affect the almost 3D like feel that the poster gives. Uh, so in order to make that, you kind of see me fidgeting around a lot with it, making sure it's in exactly the right places, so the transitions between not only the main poses but the in betweens all sync up enough where it's not really off. Of course, as with any animation, it's never truly perfect, but it's as close to perfect as you can get. And of course, as you can kind of see, I'm also fiddling with the webs that he shoots from his hands to make sure they are as coordinated with the position and his uh, motion as much as possible. Again, making sure that the webs actually look like they're coming from his hands and not from somewhere off in the distance, but making sure again that it happens with every frame. Luckily with Photoshop it's a little easier. You maybe move certain frames and it kind of affects the others. So as you can kind of see here, again, I'm fidgeting around with them. Again, for me, the hardest part probably was more so the shadow, because it does like a shadow does. It is seen, disappears. So for me, it was kind of easier getting the other two components to kind of cooperate than it was the shadow itself, because you have to exactly line up with where the figure is in the process of coming basically from out of nowhere to on the top of this roof. And in doing so, it kind of allowed me to really get that synchronized motion that I want. Of course, hopefully the final piece will be just as fluid as what you're seeing right now. Of course, that would be coming up pretty soon. Of course, with this piece, you can eventually see it premiere on my main channel. And in kind of coordinates with my main channel, you'll probably see more of these motion posters. I've been developing a few more. I'm actually in the process of possibly creating one for one that I just have done recently. But also, I have another project that you'll be seeing coming up pretty soon that I've been working on for a while. My first live stream showing off my Spawn piece that I've been working on for a while. I'm at a point now where I really want to get it finished before the end of the year. You might also see some other pieces coming down the pipeline, so hopefully you'll see more coming from not only myself but my agency in the future. And with that, I will bid you a farewell. Till next time.